I think we're all in for a treat with this one. So
We're not in for anything at this point.
I'll make this as slow as I possibly can. So it's funny, David and I both have kind of read each of the speakers' bios that they've submitted, and we've kind of extracted some of the key points so that we have bullet points so that we can help introduce these speakers. This one is pretty difficult to do that with. There's a couple of things that I can pull from this, but I think the gist that I'm getting about our next speaker's bio here is that he does things his own way. He has done a lot of work bringing boring commodities to becoming brands over the past 25 years, all the way from eggs to coffee. I guess we could say that we can all agree to disagree sometimes, and the past two speakers, their content it was all about convenience, and our next speaker is going to talk about the importance of inconvenience and the pleasure of inconvenience. He is the founder of Truth Coffee, which is a coffee roaster and wholesaler and retailer in Cape Town, South Africa. Are you ready?
I'm better, but the age is not.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce David Donde.
Yeah, my name is David, and I'm a drug dealer. And I think most of you who are in coffee have thought that from time to time. The thing is that I don't think, where's the clicker? I don't know that that's necessarily our drug, the good stuff from the wrong side. How do we go back? Going to work? Just not going to stay on the second one. Oh, there we go. It's not the good stuff from Colombia. I don't think that is the drug that we actually are selling. It might be, to be honest, if all we're doing is a cocaine, wrong one, caffeine delivery system, there must be a lot easier ways of doing that than going and making this fancy brew and having it taste good. What's the point? I really don't think that is our business at all. And this is just never going to cooperate with anyone, has it? No. Now it's going backwards. Guys, can you go forward? I'll just wave my hand and you go forward one. Yep. Next one. So the world really in produce breaks up into two new ports. It's not working there either. It wasn't the geography. Are we good? Okay. So what have we got if we look at it? We've got commodities on one side of the world, and we've got feeding the world, and we've got getting prices down, and it's just like instant coffee that we saw earlier. And on the other side, we've got the specialty side. And you know what? I want to make an admission for the first time. I'm not in the specialty business. I don't think I have been from the beginning. Maybe for the first year or two. I think I'm in the luxury business. And it's different to the specialty business. And a lot of us have defined ourselves as specialty, and I've always struggled with specialty because the only requirement for being in specialty is saying you are. And there are a lot of experts and there are a lot of great guys doing really amazing stuff in specialty, and I love them and I love their product. But a lot of what we call specialty, it shouldn't be. It doesn't deserve to be. And I want to be in luxury. And it might not be the most profitable section of the market, and maybe I can't have the millennials as my core target market. Maybe I can. But I don't think it matters because I am dealing in luxury. If I could have the next slide, if it's working yet. Nothing? Still nothing? I mean, my computer's from Africa, I'm from Africa, but it doesn't mean nothing should work. Yeah, I thought it was only in Africa we've got this concept. It's a little like manana, but without the same sense of urgency. So I break the world up into produce, and then we have specialty side. And the produce stuff is going GMO, and it is about feeding the world, and it is about all sorts of buzzwords, and this is just never going to work. That's my roastery. The roaster. And there's a lot that we don't like there, but there's a lot that's necessary. And driving prices down, driving volumes up, is what it's about. And on the other side of it, we've got luxury. And I'm going to tell you that the drug that we actually sell in luxury is dopamine. It's not caffeine. It never has been. Back to what I said at the beginning. There are easier ways to give people caffeine. Much easier ways. Chocolate bars. Solves your problem very neatly. Stable. Lasts forever. You can choose whatever flavor you like and keep it there. Can we go forward? Yep. There. Now we're starting to win. Next one. There we go. So we've got some buzzwords there that kind of work. And I think that's the gist of it. And if we can move to the next slide. Okay, we've got our definitions of commodity, and we can go to the next one again. And again. And again. Okay, so I want you to imagine two scenarios. We've got scenario one. We've got an exquisite coffee. $30, £30. We've got that geisha that's not just that lot, it's the other lot. It's number one, and it's in the pod. And we go and buy it from a corner grocery store because it's that accessible. And it's available at home, and you stumble out of bed, you're a little hungover, and you walk over to your espresso machine of the future, and you pop this thing in, and out squirts out into your very expensive cup. A beautiful tasting cup of coffee. An incredible tasting cup of coffee. That's scenario one. Scenario two. You heard about a guy, and this guy has a handle on a very rare coffee. In fact, he's got the last half a bag, the last 30 kilograms of this coffee ever to be in the world. And it's about an hour's drive to get to him. And let's go next slide. Skip this one. This guy is also involved, and there's lots of gravitas in the first cup, but let's go to the next one. So here we are. So we've got to drive to this guy. And worse than that, once we get to him, we've got to say, Joe sent me, and we're going to be really nice. Or next slide. We got the problem nose soup for you. No, not drinking the last bit. Sorry, I didn't mean that, but go on. There we go. So we've got the problem that we go there, and we've driven there, and it's been this effort, and we get the cup, and we sit on the couch, and we have the cup of coffee, and it is good. It does deliver in the cup. Which one actually felt like luxury? Yes, sure, that cup's going to be expensive too. Why do we get, intuitively, a bigger sense of luxury out of the second cup without it necessarily being a better cup of coffee? Why does that experience change things? Next slide. This guy, the one I was talking about earlier. It's part of our system. It's part of what makes us human. It's part of, next slide. It's part of what got us there. Next slide again. Okay. It's about it's about personalization of the world. It's about defining things for ourselves. And dopamine is a very interesting chemical. If you look at evolution and how it's got us there, assuming most of the people in the room, I don't have to do the whole evolution talk. But why did we beat out the Neanderthals, or whoever it was, a mere 10,000 years ago? We had stronger people than us, who apparently had bigger brains than us, yet we beat them. We beat them for one reason and one reason only. We get pleasure out of solving problems. When you solve a problem, when you do that crossword, when you do that crossword, when you put the IKEA table together, when you do any of these things, you get this little squirt of pleasure. When I discover that coffee, I get that little squirt of pleasure into my system, not just the caffeine. I'm getting the dopamine. And we are all dopamine habitual guys. Now, the question for us, and I don't have the answers to this part of it, is how do we keep the monkey off our back? How do we do that? And I have to say, yes, there's systems where we can make things easier to do. But in actual fact, we need to make things harder. If we're going to deal in luxury, and we're going to be able to automate luxury, because that's what we all want to do. I want my version of the pod machine that can make luxury, and I'm not going to do it that route because I need to feed the dopamine system. I know that. I know that my own desire for luxury is going to be fed by that. I want the barista skills. I want the special coffee. But we're living in a new age. We're living in an age of 3D printing, where these tokens from the 80s don't really matter. But why? Go to the next slide now. Why do we find, again, the fancy wine with the cork in the bottle so much more pleasurable than the one on the left, the boxed wine? Does everyone call it boxed wine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why do we find it better? The wine and the cork are not a good storage system. Turns out, the trilaminate plastic in the other one is far better for aging and storing wine, but it doesn't give us the pleasure. We need to address the dopamine animal. I think we've got another one. Okay, so what I'm getting at is we really do need exquisite baristas who can do amazing stuff. We need to take advantage of the modern world. We need to take advantage of 3D printing, drone delivery systems, hyper-personalization. Imagine the factories of the future. It's not going to be a production line producing one thing at 1,000 items a minute or whatever it might be. It could be 1,000 different items at that same speed. And what are the opportunities that's going to give us on luxury? A lot of you people who are involved in the slightly less luxury end of the market, but the expensive end of the market, are going to be able to tap into the luxury market through this. But it's going to be through people. It's going to be through experience. And there has to be an element of difficulty. One of the questions I was asking earlier of Kelly with the instant is I forget what brand of ready-made cake it was that didn't succeed until they figured out that they had to ask, and this was 50, so I'm going to use the term housewife, to add 1 egg to it. Instant seller. Where's our 1 egg? How are we going to do that? And we're going to produce luxury. So what I'm going to ask you to do is rejoice in inconvenience, celebrate inconvenience, learn how to tap into inconvenience. We're also going to make that inconvenience very convenient, and order from a little roastery in Cape Town at the end of Africa and enjoy that coffee at the restaurant at the end of the universe. And thank you very much for putting up with me.
Questions? Dave? There you go. Jeffrey.
Okay, well, how do you embed inconvenience into your business?
How do I embed inconvenience?
Inconvenience, yeah.
Well, you've got to travel on a 6-hour plane ride to London and then a 12-hour one down to Cape Town, as you well know. So inconvenience is there. We're looking at a model of shipping our coffee all around the world, which is not terribly inconvenient. It's a 5-day inconvenience. And I think that's part of the puzzle. And it's how can we celebrate in making something that has to be simple, because we are unbelievably lazy as individual consumers, but into this exploratory product where this is mine, I've got a lead on this, I can get you some too. How do we have those two together? And I think I'm trying to unlock that and figure that out right now. But I believe that is where we have to go. Yeah.
So, David, thank you, and I'm looking forward to coming to visit you. So, I've always sold luxury as well. We were price leaders for a very long time. We were the most expensive coffee in Melbourne from 12 years ago, and it was partly driven by a desire, from my perspective, that the work that we did needed to be validated, and it was quite easy to buy a beer for $10, but people wanted to pay $3 for a coffee, and there was no work in opening a beer bottle. But I don't know that luxury and product are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
That luxury and
a scalable product or convenience.
No, I don't think they are mutually exclusive at all.
So I think if your store is a brand activation or a dopamine activation site, I think that's great, and I believe in that. But you can still scale, I think.
Agree.
Yeah.
I think it has to be baked. The inconvenience, the adventure, the achievement has to be baked into the nature of the product. It has to be part of the brand value. It has to be part of how you buy it. You know, if Maxwell's clever, he's only going to have certain coffees available at a certain time of year, even though he can offer them through the whole year. But you create a sense of anticipation and want. And you look at the marketers now, there's this huge sign-up period before a product's able to be bought. Not because it's not ready and they couldn't send out beta testing and replace the models later or update the software, but to create that interest, to create that inconvenience, because then I win.
Would you, I'm just going to jump in, David. Would you say, could you talk about the squirt of dopamine and that every time you have something you get that little squirt of dopamine? What about that, stop it. What about that fear of boredom that then comes from that? Because every time you have the same experience, eventually that dopamine doesn't have the same effect, or you get that boredom and then you go into that FOMO phase of fear of missing out. So how do you meet that? How do you manage that?
That's why I haven't talked about novelty. It's incredibly easy to solve the problem with, great, if I do the speech again, that's going in. Novelty is a quick fix, and it works, and you slap it in, and hooray, and we've all done that and had some small win through either designed in or accidental novelty. But novelty isn't a win. Novelty isn't a sense of achievement. I promise you, the guy who has 20 bottles of an exceptional wine, even if that wine may not be worth its price intrinsically, the 20 times he serves that across 20 years, each time is going to be a treasure. It's going to be something that he can reward. Something I meant to talk about, sorry, the things went a little bit lost, but we in the attention economy, we speak about being in the data economy and all the other things, but we're in attention economy. The reason that Instagram is working for us is it's grabbing people's attention. We're still able to shout. We're still doing a lot of shouting as marketers in the attention economy, and that's not going to work. And what is happening with the attention economy is sharing. And there's only one thing I can share. I can only share a true story that's worth repeating. And that, by the way, that's my entire lecture on marketing when I get new stuff, is marketing is having a true story that's worth repeating, because the rest is automatic. And if we can do that, if we're not going for novelty and we're going for achieving the solving of the puzzle, achieving that experience, then we bake it in, and then it's part of what we do, and we are successful.
Hello, David.
Hi.
It is contextual, though, isn't it? Because so the bottle of wine, for example, is still extremely convenient compared to making a cup of coffee, even though it's not as convenient as the box. So a lot of it is this sense of they feel an individual feels it's too convenient, but measuring that inconvenience is difficult, right?
Yeah, impossible.
Yeah, and this concept of pushing inconvenience to the point where it's actually off-putting.
But we need a level of inconvenience. So wine has figured it out perfectly. I mean, really, most of us who love fine wines don't struggle too much with cork most of the time, and we can get it right. One of my favorite questions that I ask coffee geeks, and yes, I am a coffee geek, is how do you make your coffee at home? And I don't know many guys who have an espresso machine. Or we have them, but they're sitting on a shelf somewhere. We don't do it. So a level of convenience and satisfaction and pleasure and achievement need to be done.
I think even though my project with capsules is used as an example of convenience, the way we've approached our website is actually, you've got the 3-click rule, and it's going beyond that and making it slightly more difficult to buy the capsules, but so that you do have a bit more of an experience. Yeah.
Well, have you looked at one of the things I love about New York are bars with no advert, no sign. Well, we got taken to one 2 nights ago where we couldn't find the doorbell for 5 minutes. Isn't that part of the inconvenience? The nightclub from the 70s that had the queue around the block, even though there was no one inside. Maybe you can have a website that nobody can find. You don't index it. There's no SEO. You need to be given the password. Maybe that's where it is. I don't know. What happens if you do exactly that? Have to have an invitation to find your website. Could be solving the problem.
Any questions around the room? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for David Donde.